What's really heartbreaking is I realize my mom made everything about a man, getting a man, finding a man, and that has what's been communicated to me. And when I think about the self-esteem struggles that I've had throughout my entire life, they can all be hinged on this fact that thematically in my life, she made everything about a man.
Have you ever been a pick me before? You didn't know what you were doing, but you know that you're a pick me. Now that you're no longer a pick me and you're like, why was I like that? Why was I waiting for bed validation? Why was I doing everything just for a man to like me? Have you ever been a pick me? Let me know that in comment section because me, I have been a pick me before. And many of us have also been a pick me before. And most of the time, it's not because we choose to be a pick me, it's kind of society we find ourselves. If you're raised in a particular family that your mom is a pick me, there is no how you will be a pick me at the point because you will think, oh, I think this is what I'm supposed to do to get men to like me. I think I'm supposed to do everything for a man to like me. I think I have to do this so that a man will like me. I think I have to do this for my dad to like me, my brothers to like me because you're in that society, your mom is a pick me. So automatically you feel like that is how life is supposed to be. But it might be later on adulthood and you reading books, healing from your trauma, therapy will make, grown women to now be like, this way of life is not safe. It's not safe to have this kind of way of life. It doesn't even make sense to have this way of life. The best way of life is not to be a pick me. Anyway, I saw a video of this lady saying that her mom is a pick me and all her life she thinks that is how it's supposed to be. And other videos of women talking about pick me culture. So I'm going to go ahead and share these videos for you all to watch to the end. And yeah, we'll talk about it down comment section.
What's really heartbreaking is I realize my mom made everything about a man, getting a man, finding a man, and that has what's been communicated to me. And when I think about the self-esteem struggles that I've had throughout my entire life, they can all be hinged on this fact that thematically in my life, she made everything about a man. One time I sent her this photo, right? Kind of showing her how my hair grew over the past 3 years of having locks. And it was so crazy because she even made that about a man. Like, how do you make my hair growth about a man? Damn. So I'm reading this book called Men Don't Love Women Like You by G.L. Lambert, and he's getting my ass together. And it's crazy how a stranger is telling me about my worth far more than my mother ever had. And that's where I think a lot of us end up getting stuck, is that we're trying to now in our adult years believe because of authors, because of therapists and life coaches like myself, because our friends are telling us how worthy we are. And we're so confused. We're scratching our heads because we're like, wait, we've never been made out to be special. And a lot of women can resonate with the fact that a lot of our parents made it more so about, you need this to have a man, you need that to have a man, you better cook or a man won't, you better not cut your hair because a man don't. Everything was about a man. And I realized my mother never really made it a point to be like, listen, you are so special, a man better, she never made it clear that a man must come a certain way, which made it so easy for me to just be impressed by any man that would come along, which made it so easy for me to just accept the bare minimum treatment. And I realized this didn't just happen with men, this happened with women too, where again, there was nothing that ever communicated, hey, you are special. Someone should treat you like this. Someone should do this for you. Someone should come at you with this kind of energy. It was never like that. It was always, hey, you need to make sure you're on point. Which is why a lot of women have a hard time believing they're the prize, which is why a lot of women easily buy into, well, we both can be prizes. Like, no, fuck all that. I don't give a fuck what the fuck I didn't hear growing up. In my 30s, it's such a redemptive season for me because there's so much I didn't understand in my teens, so much I didn't understand in my 20s. But in my 30s, oh, you will be convinced that I was raised by like the Queen of England, the way I recognize my importance, the way I understand how I should be treated, and the way I'm not tolerating anything less. than what I established my standards to be. But it's just so crazy. When I think about it, I'm like, dang, there were just certain things that were never communicated to me. No one ever made me feel like I'm so special, someone needs to come like this. The only time I believe my mom ever did a great job of making me feel like I was special is when it came to making money. She was like, you can do anything you want. You can make that money, honey. You are so smart. You are Marsha B. You can become anything. And she only did that because she wanted me to really follow that whole pre-med train. And I've vented about that enough on other TikToks. But I just think it's so crazy how many parents do this to their children, and more specifically their daughters. And if you can relate to that, I am with you. I am so with you on that. But it is so important you take it upon yourself to do some redemptive, healing, restorative work, to believe in your worth, to believe in what you deserve, and start to shield yourself and build yourself up to receive nothing less than these new established standards that you should have when it comes to dating. You are the prize. You are the prize, and a man that is willing to put the work in becomes a winner when he earns connection to someone as divine as you. This is what we should have always been hearing. This is what we should have always been hearing, but instead we think less of ourselves because we've always been told, be like this, be like that to get a man. Fuck all that. Fuck all that. You are already all that in a bag of chips. It's just so high time you come to terms with that and start to have standards in your dating life that match that. If you need help and you need to work with a life coach / therapist to help you navigate that, I'm so happy to be on that journey with you. So many of my clients and I are doing this work together to help them live the lives that they've always deserved, regardless of what they've heard from either their mother, their fathers, any other caregivers that they've ever had in their life. It is not too late. Okay, I don't care how old you are, 40, 50, I care. It is never too late to start to do this work. So I hope this helps somebody out there. If it resonates, chat with me in the comments. Let me know how you feel. Until next time, love you, mean it, bye.
I was raised in a family where grades were the absolute most important thing you could ever accomplish. If you didn't have good grades, you were automatically a bad kid. Second to grades was chores or just helping out around the house. If you had to be asked multiple times to do something, you were not a good kid. If you did something the first time you were asked, or you did something without being asked, you were the good kid. Other things they cared about was how much you talk back, because if you talk back, you were automatically a bad kid. Things that you lied about or things that you hid, trouble you got in at school, etc., right? They used everything we did to classify us as good or bad. But I think the worst part of it all came down to how much it damaged my relationship with my sisters, because when you have siblings who are sharing the same set of parents, living under the same roof, feeling like they're in competition with each other, essentially what you create is an environment of resentment, an environment of animosity, an environment of jealousy, an environment of envy, and those are all characteristics that lead you to become a pick-me as a grown woman. And the reason why this is how a pick-me is created is because when you grow up in a traditional household like I did, where your father works and pays all the bills and your mother takes care of the household, all the women start competing with each other for the validation of the father. Since he's the head of the household, how he feels about you is the most important. My dad could be mad at me and my mom is happy with me, but it doesn't matter as long as my dad is happy with me. And if my dad was happy with me and I did something to upset my mom, he would overpower her emotions and say, no, it's okay, don't be mad at her, she's fine, she's good, whatever. So when you have a dynamic like that, you are unconsciously trained to seek the validation of a male. In this instance, it's your father, but when you go out into the real world, it's any male who looks at you, who talks to you, who gives you attention. You are conditioned to want his validation. Obviously, this is not healthy, and I'm not saying that this is what all traditional households are like. I'm saying this is what mine was like. I didn't grow up with brothers, but if you had brothers and you grew up in a traditional household, it was even worse for you. You got conditioned to be a pick-me even more because you were competing with your mother and sisters for the validation of your father, but also for the validation of your brother. My friends who grew up in traditional households with brothers saw that their brothers were more favored by their parents, even when their brothers did worse at school, created more trouble, didn't do any chores, generally just weren't the definition of what a good kid was. So what this does to you as a woman is it makes you internalize everything that you're doing wrong as something that's wrong with yourself. And you start to feel like you are broken and there's something wrong with you. And so the way that you try to fix yourself is by fixing everything in the external world so that it's perfect, so that someone can pick you. That's what makes you a pick-me, is you think there's so much wrong with you and you're trying to prove to everybody else how much of a good person you are so they can pick you. And this happens in friendships, it happens at work, it happens in romantic relationships, it happens everywhere, like I said in my other video. But it's the most evident in a romantic relationship because a lot of these males like to pursue a woman that's a little bit of a challenge. And if you are a pick-me, you're not challenging them at all. It's like there is no hunt, there is no reward. It's basically you just offering everything up on a silver platter for them to eat off of. And I could confidently say that when I was a pick-me, I got treated way worse by the men that I was dating, rather than when I finally got some standards and self-confidence and started saying, no, I'm not gonna do that actually. The way to heal your pick-me-ness as a grown woman is to start validating yourself. Stop waiting for everybody else to validate you and start validating yourself. Say the compliments you want to hear. Do the things you want to do for other people for yourself. Give yourself time alone and stop telling yourself that you're a loser if you spend time alone or that nobody likes you if you spend time alone and yada yada yada. Change the narrative. You have to be the one to change the narrative because as long as you don't change the narrative, everybody's going to believe that you are who you think you are. And if you are a pick-me, they're going to believe you don't have any self-worth, you don't have any boundaries, you don't have any standards, you're willing to let people walk all over you, take from you, and all you're going to do is sit idly by and be like, wow, nobody ever appreciates me. There's nothing wrong with you, okay? It's just that you were conditioned to be the absolute most insecure version of yourself. But the good news is you have the power to change that today.
Have you ever thought about the fact that being African forces you to become a pick-me-sha? Our cultures alone, they automatically groom you to become a pick-me-sha. Our cultures, because in our cultures, we are always taught to do things to impress a man. You know, when you are young, they start telling you, where's nomvontsho le nto ba nilale ningavuki nilale kude kuphume ilanga anizofumana bayini xa uliqeleku nje awuzufumana umyeni xa ungakwazi ukupheka ungathanda ukupheka awuzufumana umyeni. Every time the reference is to ungafumani umyeni, so automatically you think ukuthi you need to learn how to cook, you need to learn how to be tidy, you need to get up early so that men can see that you are wifey material. You are wifey material because you wake up at 5 a.m. and you get things and you get on about, you know. They groom us, Bantase. In our cultures, we are groomed to become pick-me-sha. You are not taught to being tidy and cleaning up your room makes people take you serious. Having cleanliness in just makes you look like umntu othatheka serious. They don't teach you that. They will teach you you must do it so that uzobonakala abantu bazokubona as umfazi, so that people can see you as a wifey. You know, being African. Hey, man, I used to be a pick-me-sha too. I used to be a pick-me-sha girl, pick me. You know, that girl, I remember, hey, this one time in London, I went and cleaned this guy's house who was so filthy and so untidy. I don't even know what he and I cleaned his house, but I remember thinking to myself vividly, if I make up this bed and I clean this house, you know, he's gonna have such a good impression of me. Like pick me Delulu. Pick me, my surname is Delulu, Lulu. Because that guy didn't even appreciate that. Like he didn't even, because he was just so wired in being untidy. He didn't even see that as an important thing. But now I was doing it so that I could be, you know, in the forefront of him. Thinking, I'm just this clean girl. Why don't you clean your house? Make sure that when he comes to your house, it's clean. He sees your house clean. Not you going all the way to go and clean his house. My husband, picked me because I had stopped that nonsense of being a pick-me-sha. I was all about picking me. I was so focused on myself, but I say super focused on me. I was picking me all the time. All the time I was picking myself. And propose, not even an egg, not even tea, bantase. Because nyani, our cultures are just grooming us to become these pick-me girls. Ufumans ba wena, you are doing everything, bending, stretching, doing somersaults, tontoni for a man. You are snatching your waists, bantase. Nenza o-BBL, nenza izimanga for umntu ongathi ulisele, onomkhaba ongathi ulisele. Mna I blame the African culture, because in most cases, it is the one that is telling us and teaching us to become pick-mishas. Our African cultures. Siyakuxelela ba, do this so that uzofumana umtsha. Khawuvuke uyakulala because awuzufumana umyeni. Dilala mntase mna, ndide ndivuhlwe nguye umyeni.
I will not also blame our mothers that were pick me and try to raise us as pick me daughters. I'll not blame them because they were also raised as pick me mothers. So like it's a chain, it's a generational course. So it's wise for you now, if you're in 2025 and you're seeing this, it's right for you now to just detach yourself from being a pick me, because it is not favorable for we women. They always make it look like we have to do everything to please a man. We have to make sure whatever we are doing makes a man happy. If a man is not happy with what we are doing, whatever we are doing doesn't make sense. Imagine her showing our mom so excited. Oh my God, my hair is now longer. 3 years later, and all is in her mom's head is is how it's going to benefit a man. Anything you do, any decision you make, even till now, sometimes when I want to make some decision, my mom or some women around me, especially African women, they always want to link it to a man and be like, are you sure your man is okay with this? Are you sure? How is your man thinking about this? Like, so it is just, I just feel like it's just a normal thing because that is how society is. And especially if you are African, I just feel like African on is worse because they raise us to be pygmies until now. Till now, if you put like 100 African women in a room, maybe two is not pick me because almost all of them feel like I have to do everything for a man to like me. If you're walking a certain way, they'll tell you the way you're walking, men don't like women that walk that way. Oh, you're doing this. Do you think your man will like this? Do you think this will attract men? Or you're this because you don't have a man because you have education. You don't have a man because you're too proud. You have driving your own car. You have your own house. You're not supposed to stay away from your family as a woman. As a grown-up girl, you're not supposed to leave your father's house until a man come and take you. Okay, that's how it's supposed to be. It's when it's now I think this generation they're kind of getting very wise compared to the older generation. You cannot be in a certain age, even if you're 35 years old and you're not married, you will be in your parents' house till a man come and marry you. And just imagine you being that age in your parents' house, they will frustrate you. And your mom being a pick me, you're 35 years old in your parents' house, and your mom is a pick me. Imagine how you wake up depressed every single day. You just want to end up with any man that comes your way. Okay, any man that comes your way, just for you to get out of the house, because if you can't leave. Once you tell them you want to leave, they think, oh, you want to go into prostitution. Like everything just evolves around men. And to think about it, I just feel like it's a normal way they set up a family for daughters to always do things for validation of men, even their father, their brothers. Make sure you're making your father happy, you're making your daddy proud, right? Nothing for them, like I'm doing this for me. it's always very difficult for you to see a home that there is no pick me mom or pick me daughters in that house. It takes a lot of work for you to get yourself out of it. As I said, I was once a pick me. At the point, I thought that was a normal way of life. I thought it's just normal, like that's how I was supposed to be. It's later on you'll be like, this thing is not right. Like your brain will be telling you, this way of life is not right. It's not right. I'm not supposed to be this way. It's when you like, okay, so this is it. Like you will not know what you're doing is wrong because you feel like that is how it's supposed to be. That's how when somebody tell you, I want to be child free, I don't want to have kids. Some people look at you like, have you gone mad? Like, why would you say you don't want to have children? And they're like, because I choose not to. So people don't understand. Like, I thought that's the way, that's how we're supposed to be. We live and we women, we reproduce at a point, and you're saying you don't want to reproduce, even though you can. They don't understand why a woman will say, I don't want to need a man in my life. I just want to go somewhere without a man. Some people don't understand how that works because they feel like whatever you do should be because of a man. Whatever thing you're doing should be because you want your man to be happy, or whatever thing you're doing, make sure your man, understands it and validates it. Anyways, what is your take about pick me culture? Kindly share your thoughts down in the comment section. Respectfully, as always, your girl Mara Davis, and thank you so much for tuning in and the interesting video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Please like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.